inside Radio City for the second year. This is the 2007 NFL Draft, or as they say in verbiage, befitting a court, the annual selection meeting of the National Football League for the 72nd time. Started with Jay Berwanger back in the 30s, who will be the #1 pick today. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. So glad to be with us. Once again, ESPN gavel-to-gavel coverage. Welcome back to New York, everybody. We are on the 9th selection now, owned by the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins have about 7.5 minutes to go. And Mel, if it is indeed Brady Quinn, how do you analyze him?
I think when
certainly production the last couple of years.
I tell you, that's the thing. And I think we talked about, was he overhyped a little bit? I think probably he was, and I think that hurt Brady Quinn because everybody thought he should be Superman every week. And he didn't have the talent around him to do that on a week-to-week basis against that kind of competition. I think you look at Brady Quinn's physical ability, doesn't have the howitzer for an arm, but his arm strength certainly good enough. A guy that has the size that you look for at 6'3.5", was 230 pounds. And you talk about poise in the pocket. Nothing phases this kid. He's pressured, still has the vision down the field to hit the open receiver, and a guy that has the ability, I thought, mechanically, that the NFL's looking for. Coached the last 2 years by Charlie Weis, has the touch as well, getting the ball there to the tight end in the middle of the field. So I think he will come in as a finished product. People say he's a little robotic, the way Charlie Weis coached him up there and what have you, but the bottom line is 69 touchdown passes and only 14 picks the last 2 years. A dramatic turnaround in his career from the first 2 years to the last two when Charlie Weis was the head coach at Notre Dame. You watch him here. He recognizes what the secondary is doing in coverage, hits the open receiver there. Again, the tight end in that pattern, effectively utilized by Brady Quinn. Here again, ability to utilize feet in the pocket, bide a little time, and hit the receiver down the field. Everybody says he had Jeff Samardzija. He had Rima McKnight coming off an injury. Didn't have Anthony Fasano as tight end. Did not have Maurice Stovall, who was a key element as a junior. So I think when you look at Brady Quinn, yeah, he's not all world, but at worst, he will be a good, solid quarterback in the NFL. The bust factor with Brady Quinn, very limited or negated completely.
Since the retirement of Hall of Famer Dan Marino, here is your list in no particular order of Miami quarterbacks, including from Dartmouth, Jay Fiedler, Damon Heward, A.J. Feely, Ray Lucas, Brian Griese, Gus Frerotte, Parsley Sage and Time Rosenfels, Dante Culpepper, Joey Harrington, and Cleo Lemon. Hello. They're looking still, but you're looking for certain things, as you mentioned at the top of the show, for a quarterback to be a big success.
Right. To be great, there's three things. And we talk about leadership moxie. That's that ability to kind of take whatever they give you, wrap it up in a bag, put it over your shoulder, and I'm your guy. I'm taking it down the end zone. No matter what it is, he has that in spades. He also has what you call aptitude, the ability to go into the meeting room, take the film, take all the information. He's ready to play professional football on those 2 points in spades. That's why he's here in the top 10. The reason why he's fallen a little bit in my mind is the accuracy. He is a little bit more robotic, like you said, Mel. And when you talk about accuracy, it's accuracy in motion, not just when you have your feet set and everything's perfect. It's starting to move just slightly, and then how accurate you are. They all talk about his body strength, and maybe he's too muscle-bound or whatever else it is. In the end, like American Idol, you either are a great singer or you're not a great singer. You can teach accuracy a little bit, but at the end of the day, you either have it or don't, and that'll be the question for Brady Quinn.
Steve, on the accuracy part, I did have a lot of evaluators in the league, head coaches, general managers, mention the accuracy thing. Charlie Weis, the Notre Dame coach, boy, you want to touch a nerve with him, mention that accuracy issue. This is a guy who was over 60% the last 2 years with them, and he says people evaluating tape don't know about the routes our receivers are running, that they're 2 yards short or 2 yards too deep, and that it makes Brady look more inaccurate, but that he believes that this guy, and Charlie Weis told me this, that you will see him in that argument behind Peyton Manning and Tom Brady sometime in the next 2 or 3 years. He thinks he's going to jump up quickly into that argument.
He coached Tom Brady at New England, and he said to me, and he said it elsewhere, Charlie Weis said, see a lot of Brady Quinn, see a lot of Tom Brady and Brady Quinn. That's pretty good on a resume. Susie?
3 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock, and Brady hasn't heard from the Dolphins. What's the comfort level there, though?
I don't know. I think the comfort level right now is just working with Coach Cameron. Had an opportunity to work with Terry Shea as well out in Arizona. I had a great rapport with both, and I think it'd be a good opportunity, to play for them and go down there and win some games.
What did Cam Cameron do with the interview process to see what kind of quarterback you are under pressure?
He actually would test me with small amounts of time to reiterate, my offense or their offense. He'd test me on a board. He sent me a playbook a few days ahead of time just to, kind of test me and see if I knew what I was going to be talking about.
Well, here's pressure right now for you, right? You'll know in a couple minutes. Let's go to Trey.
Yeah. All right, Susie, thanks very much. Welcome into the NFL Live set, along with Mark May, Sean Salisbury, our quarterback, by the way, and Michael Smith, the man who knows everything. All right, let's assume that Miami does take him at number 9 here. It certainly seems like that's the way the mojo is going right now, Michael Smith. What does this do to all that trade talk that Miami had about getting Trent Green over from Kansas City? Is that still a viable option?
Well, yes, it is, because you would think that with the relationship that Trent Green has with Cam Cameron and Terry Shea, this will make a lot of sense to not have to throw Brady Quinn to the Wolves, have a bridge as far as a veteran quarterback to help him out that first year or so. But what this does is significantly hurt the leverage even further for Kansas City. Trent Green controls his own destiny in a sense, not renegotiate his contract with any other team. Everybody knows they eventually have to cut him. Now, Miami has a quarterback, and Sean, you say, well, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you were standing up at a second-round pick. Miami, give Randy Mueller credit, never came up from a 6. Now, where's your leverage?
Got to be Brady Quinn, and then you still got to go get Trent Green, but it does devalue what the Kansas City Chiefs are trying to do, and they obviously don't get what's going on right now. But yes, Quinn's not ready to start in the NFL as a rookie, and I can guarantee you the most underrated quarterback the last 4 or 5 years has been Trent Green. What a great bridge he'd be. Culpepper will be out. It'll be Trent Green, and it'll be Brady Quinn, and they will start in that order eventually, Mark.
And if that does happen, that's the best thing for Brady Quinn, is to get somebody that's going to teach you how to play the quarterback position at the next level. He's going to need that comfort factor for a year or two, and that's the only way I believe he's going to have long-term success in this league.
Well, I tell you what, if he is going to Miami, there is that legacy of number 13, Dan Marino.
Good
you
luck.
Saw the graphic and all those quarterbacks that have tried. If it is Brady Quinn, number 13's on your shoulder and in every billboard in Miami.
All right, fellas, the pick is in now here. The Miami Dolphins. Will this be the time? Sing the Notre Dame fight song. Or another songs. Because if he doesn't go here, we'll have that discussion in 20 seconds.
Mel mentioned he doesn't have a howitzer for an arm, but you know, Cam Cameron in San Diego worked with 2 guys, Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers, who did not have howitzers for arms.
He's got to go here. This is a great spot for Brady Quinn. This is a great marriage.
We all agree. There it is.
With the 9th pick in the 2007 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Ted Ginn, wide receiver of Ohio State.
About time we had a surprise. And you got to, up until this point, everything was fine with Brady Quinn. No question about it, because I think he understood this was a possibility of sliding to this spot. But now, we're looking at number 10 with Houston. You start going through the list of teams here who don't need a young franchise quarterback, and it can go pretty deep. You know, look at the Houston Texans. Well, they've got Matt Schaub there. The 49ers have Alex Smith. Buffalo Bills have J.P. Lossman. Rams have Mark Bolger. They're going to try and re-sign to a contract. The Panthers, they brought in David Carter, back up Jake Del Holm. You go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got Ben Roethlisberger. The Packers have Favre and Aaron Rodgers. I don't know, Jacksonville, maybe Jacksonville, but we don't think so. Cincinnati, Carson Palmer. Tennessee, Vince Young. The Giants, Eli Manning. Denver, Jay Cutler. Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys are picking 22, even though they have Tony Romo. All of a sudden, are they having a discussion in the Cowboys camp? What if Brady Quinn falls? Do we have to be ready?
In a word, more ridiculous. I mean, this guy falls in your lap and you're the Miami Dolphins. You don't have to trade up for him. He's there at 9. 1983, Dan Marino fell in your lap towards the end of the first round. You took him. Miami Dolphins needing a young quarterback, and they get Trent Green. Fine. He's an aging quarterback. You got a chance to get Brady Quinn at number 9, and you pass on him for Ted Ginn coming off a foot injury, not real polished as a wide receiver. You got to be kidding me.
I don't get it.
Well, it's a tough moment right now for Brady Quinn.
I don't like it.
Because I'll be honest with you, the expectations, the lowest expectations, which he would have been thrilled with, was going to number 9 in the Miami Dolphins.
But he shouldn't get discouraged. He should hang in there and not worry about those sorts of things. He may wind up in a better spot. You never know. The Dallas Cowboys, yeah, they got Tony Romo. Tony Romo, they invested money in. Not long term, not big money.
Well, the Dolphins are a pretty good system for Brady Quinn.
You know what? This is the curveball. And Ted Ginn was a player we talked about yesterday, as I thought was the one of the few first-round wild cards. You know, as a kick and punt returner, Mel, I mean, a year after Devin Hester just changed about 3 or 4 games that he played in, Ted Ginn can do the same thing. That's the option.
What he is, he's a fear factor player. There's no question. When he's on the field, he strikes fear in the hearts of a defensive player and the defensive coordinator. There's no question about that. This guy is a home run hitter. He's a great athlete coming out of high school. He's got tremendous speed. When he's healthy, you can make the argument he's one of the fastest players on the football field in every game you play. You see him here. The ability to take the play that's going nowhere and turn it into a huge play for the offense. Again, a guy not real big at 5'11 and a half, about 179 pounds. Really have a little trouble with press coverage in the NFL. A little unpolished in terms of route running. Drop a catchable ball every now and then, but on reverses, wide receiver screens, get the ball in his hands. Here in the return game, he's going to be special. Remember, in the national championship game, he had that kickoff return for a touchdown. All of a sudden, Ohio State's up 7-0. You think it's great for the Buckeyes. All downhill from there. He gets a foot injury. Didn't have the great 40 time during his workout. You could make the argument he's probably the 15th best player in this draft. You're picking 9th. You're Miami. You don't take the 15th best player. You better have him on your board in that top 6 or 7. I cannot make an argument that gets Ted Ginn that high up the draft board.
But Mel, they did lose Wes Welker to New England.
Well, he fills a need. He fills a need.
No replace that. He reminds me of Joey Galloway or Terry Glenn when he was at Ohio State. Explosive, fast, on the football field, straight line. He can't go side-to-side lateral as well as you probably would like in a wide receiver. He's not as big, but they got the big receivers down in Miami.
We also know that Trent Green has been on their radar, but what if they don't make the trade for Trent Green? That means they may end up with Culpepper as their quarterback still. What does Culpepper do well? Throws the ball down the field, and Ted Ginn can stretch the field. I'm just trying to put the logic. I'm not agreeing with the pick.
I'm saying they have maybe John Beck and Trent Edwards are in this mix in the second round for Miami. Miami's got to get a young quarterback. They're in the same boat that Cleveland is to a certain extent. They have Fry and Anderson. They want to upgrade that. They could go young.
You saw the
Certainly
list.
The Detroit Lions.
Who's going to come to Miami and go in front of that statue of Dan Marino for his whole career and stand up to it and be the guy that's going to be a career guy in Miami? You've seen the list of guys over the last.
Well, you had to do it for Joe Montana.
You have to have a special guy. This is that kind of a kid that'll go down there and grab it and go by that statue every day and say, look, I can be Dan Marino. I just believe that you're going to have a unique guy to go down there and go by that statue every day, and Brady Quinn was one of those guys. If you're going to say that Trent Green is, at the last 5 years of his career, that's not a career guy. You're looking for somebody for the first time since Dan Marino to be that guy. Here he was sitting in the green room waiting for it. I
like Trent Edwards and you like John Beck, right?
I do both of them. So if
you're Miami and you know you can maybe Edwards or Beck in round 2, do you pass on Brady Quinn? I'd say absolutely no.
That's fine.
Well, this certainly is a surprise, as Brady Quinn was not selected by the Miami Dolphins. It doesn't seem to add up. He's with his girlfriend, Lindy Slinger. You know what? Better days are coming. He's had moxie. He's going to have to show it here. He will. He will.